there is a very big correlation between Safety Week and Women's Day. If you look at the genesis, problem is same. Yes or no? We focus on production, sales, safety, or let's say your own development or people development in your team take a back seat. So there is a huge issue of accepting diversity and including it there as well. Same happens in this part. Same happens on the way we celebrate our festivals. Same happens on religion. Same happens everywhere. So whatever is the majority or wherever we are focusing, even if it is unintentional, but we do that. So we are all gathering today to understand and at least accept, because when we started the first diverse, and we have taken a leap in this area in our organization, we have started the diversity and inclusion workshops, and a lot of queries which came to me were, we don't need it, we are fine. So had it been fine, this would not have been such a big issue, right? We would have not been celebrating Safety Week, especially to ensure that we are safe. We would have not been celebrating Women's Day. We would have not been celebrating these festivals, right? So these are there to remind us that we have to be more aware of whatever is happening around us. Yes, changing it may take lifetime, or we may not be able to change as well. But at least let's be aware, and let's be respectful of the other person. Diversity is not about only gender. It is your workplace, different departments, your email respecting the other person, replying him back or her back. So it is everywhere. The root is accepting the views of the other person, accepting that a divergent view can exist, and moving away from this part that lot of times we hear, and lot of men folks and even like women would agree, even like our fathers and uncles and all, even sometimes the thought is कि हम तो काम करने देते हैं अपनी वाइफ को, या हम तो जाने देते हैं. So the person is actually taking a higher pedestal by saying कि यार मैं तो at least I'm better than my dad because I'm allowing. This thought itself that you are allowing and you are on this pedestal, that is wrong, and that's what we are here to, assembled here to challenge that and develop that thought in our head ki this up and below. Same goes for, like, for example, HOD junior. He's come with 5 ideas. मैंने उसका एक idea तो माना, rather than taking that idea on merit, right? Similarly, celebrating a festival. हम तो अपने सारे फेस्टिवल सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं, हमने उसको उसका एक फेस्टिवल तो सेलिब्रेट करने दिया डिस्पाइट बीइंग इन दिस स्टेट, राइट? सो this thought itself, that's where we have to develop an understanding, and that is when we are respectful of each other. I just want to leave with this very small understanding and a common thread which binds us everywhere to be respectful of the other person. That's it. It can be in gender, it can be department, it can be work, it can be state, it can be other country, it can be color. We have all faced different issues. They are there, and we cannot alienate us from these issues saying कि नहीं जी ये issue तो बाहर सड़क पे exist करता है, मुझ में नहीं है, या ऑफिस के अंदर ये इशू नहीं होता है. It's everywhere. So it's a journey. We will slowly move on. The whole world is battling with it, and let's at least accept it, and let's take baby steps to take this forward. So that's it from my side. I think the speakers are there. We will be done by 12:30. There will be an intro panel discussion, and then followed by your questions from the panelists. We have a very, very distinguished panelists today. We have young, we have old, we have ensured diversity there. We have people from public sector, from private sector. So, welcome. Welcome.
So good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us here today for the International Women's Day celebration. We know that Women's Day is celebrated on 8th of March globally, but we have just taken the liberty of preponing it and having our celebration today. Now, Bhanu sir has already spoken a lot on diversity and inclusion. So what I would just want to touch upon few things is that why we are here. We are here to not just celebrate the women, their achievement. And when I talk about women, these are women at your office, at your home, your wives, spouses, your daughters, everyone. And we are also here, of course, to listen to our special guests and draw inspiration from them, from the wonderful life journeys that they would be sharing with us shortly. And the other thing is that let us also take this opportunity to sort of open up our mind and try to embrace the theme that we have for this year, the campaign theme of International Women's Day, which is #EmbraceEquity. And when we talk about equity, equity is what Bhanu sir spoke about. It's about how you would create an inclusive environment within the area that you work in or the world that you are currently at. And also, when we say equity, it's also about, actively supporting, and the onus lies on each one of us. So it's not just something which is restricted to, say, gender, caste, religion, or creed, that इनकी ही जिम्मेदारी है कि इनको diverse atmosphere बनाना है. This is our responsibility, each one of us. We need to work in that space. We need to actively support and embrace equity within our own sphere of influence, wherever we are, at work, at home. And how do we do that? We do that so we see a lot of things happening around us. So we need to stand up, we need to challenge the gender stereotypes. We need to call out any discrimination situation that you see around you. We need to draw attention to the bias that's happening around you. And that's how probably we can create an inclusive environment to start with wherever we are at. And I would say it's a collective activity, and that's what's going to bring about a change around. With that, I would request Imam sir to please address all of us and share his views and thoughts on the Women's Day celebration that we have today. For our guests, Imam sir, Mr. Yaver Imam, he is heading our global PMG and marketing and the global sales, and he has been with Tega for almost 40 plus years now. Over to you, sir.
Good morning and welcome to the celebration for Women's Day. I have a bit of a sore throat, so I'm not going to take 40 years in 40 minutes. I'll try to finish it in a few minutes, okay? A very warm welcome to the panelists, a very distinguished panelist. Each of them have risen to the top of their profession, which means, okay, ability, capability, if you have that, you can rise anywhere. If I see around and look at both male and female colleagues over here, all of us over here are there because of their ability, capability, knowledge, and skill. Each of us are delivering over here, and because of that, they are here. If we also see over the last 100, 200 years, every part. I mean, for the last 200 years, if you will see, you will find some moment somewhere who have reached the pinnacle of their success. I mean, and it's whether it is scientists, it's doctor, it's judges or this thing. So then why do we celebrate this as a special day when we can have examples all across? The thing is that the numbers are still small, okay? And when we look at it, it is not an achievement today when we talk about if someone has become a judge or a president or heading the company somewhere, and when we have someone of a female doing that, then you say, oh, this is such an achievement. Well, you do not say the same thing when it's happening with a male. Okay, this is the major bias which is of importance today. The movement towards equality, and not only when Banu talked about it, it's not only a equality between male and female, it is all the other biases we have. Biases of color, biases of religion, biases of caste, biases of region, you are from this region, you are from that region. All these biases come and starts working in. Once this is bias free and it's only merits, then it does not matter who is there in that position. And unless we reach society and equality in this respect, it will be very difficult to not have those biases, because the biases are right from our upbringing to where we are today. And all these biases, when we work in our own system and sphere of influences, we bring that today. Okay? So it's a great this thing when we look at, I mean, 40 years ago, I would hardly find I mean, if I remember, I don't think we had a female employee at all, and then 40 years ago. Today, to see so many of them, and all of them contributing in such a wonderful manner, it's a great journey that has happened today. But going forward, I think emphasis on special days like this, not to say that they are not capable or someone is capable or not capable to reach that, but to remove the biases. So have a wonderful day, and the experience from this distinguished panel to this thing. And as again, Safety Week is there, so this is another bias which we need to remove. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Imam sir. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and throwing more light onto what biasness and inclusivity means. We would now move ahead, and we would begin by a brief introduction of all our wonderful guest speakers that we have today. So today we have with us Dr. Amrita Ganguly. She's an executive director with Deloitte India, and she's a chemical engineer with a doctoral degree in energy economics. She has over 17 years of experience in the climate and ESG domain. She is an expert in strategy and policy advisory on a number of issues ranging from environment, energy, low carbon growth to national mitigation and adaptation of policies. She has also worked extensively across geographies which include developed and developing nations as well as least developed nations. She has also worked in the space of developing solutions around innovative concepts like circular economy, net zero, industry 5.0, and application of digitally enabled technologies in pollution control for the various organizations, government organizations. And her experience with the private sector is basically in the domain of ESG, decarbonization, optimization, and climate funding. So I would request all of you to put your hands together and welcome our first guest speaker. I would request Bhanu sir to please hand over this small token of welcome from our end. Our next guest for the day is Ms. Vasudha Goenka. Ms. Goenka is a nutritionist, a chef, a fitness enthusiast, and a kettlebell world champion. Her story is something a lot of us married ladies can actually relate to. So from a young, energetic college girl to getting into an early marriage and early motherhood, so it threw her into complacency and obesity around 2 decades back. And then having gone through the situation in her life, the determination to change things was what made her choose health as a priority. She educated herself, did a certified nutrition course, discovered her passion in sports, exercise, and then certified herself in kettlebell training. She also indulges in different weight training and exercise programs. And keeping her focus intact on healthy mind, healthy body, and healthy soul, she started her studio, Mind, Body, Soul, where she now works towards changing people's lifestyle and a lot of other aspects. So with that, I would now request Sinha sir to please hand over this bouquet and welcome Ms. Goenka. Our next guest is Ms. Taniya Sanyal. Born and brought up in Kolkata, Ms. Sanyal is the first woman firefighter to be appointed by the Indian Aviation, a sector which is largely male-dominated. She has completed her master's in botany, and as she was exploring her options in disaster management, she came across this advertisement in the newspaper, and she applied for it and went through all the eligibility criteria in terms of written test, medical, driving, and physical test, and then she qualified for this role. She now trains both men and handful of women aspiring to be firefighters with the AAI. She has been felicitated by Indian Statistical Institution, Fire and Security Association, and many other organizations of India. Of the many awards and accolades that she has received throughout her professional journey, there's Citizen Safety Award 2019 by Safety Professional Association of India. There's DCW Achievement Award from the Delhi Commission of Women, Government of India. Aparajita Award 2020 by Sanma Group, and Swang Siddha Award 2022 by Z24 are some of these accolades that she has received. So with that, I would request Imam sir to please hand over this small bouquet of welcome from our end. Our next guest today is Dr. Dhriti Banerjee. Dr. Dhriti Banerjee is the country head of Zoological Survey of India, and she's also the first woman to grace the chair as the director for this premier institute, which is 107 years old. A Presidency College graduate, she began her research career on the physiological effects of sustained use of abusive drugs in human and animals, and has been awarded several fellowship and grants for her research projects. She's also the one who had initiated molecular research in ZSI way back in 2011. Also known as the Lady of the Flies, she's also into the science of criminal forensics and is trying to find suitable models of fly species which can be used for crime detection in Indian environmental conditions to aid law enforcing agencies. She has published 21 books, 45 book chapters, and 212 research articles. She has been conferred with several awards, of which we have Amazing Godavari Memorial Award for Excellence in the Field of Education and Science. She has also been awarded the Outstanding Women Achievers Award in 2022. She has been conferred with Nari Shakti Samman Puraskar. So these are some of the accolades to name, which Dr. Dhriti Banerjee has received. And her vision is to enable ZSI to scale new heights through unbiased empowerment of its scientific fraternity for a sustainable tomorrow. I would request Manjuri ma'am to please come and welcome Dr. Dhriti. A warm welcome to all of our 4 guests here today. We would now move to the section where everybody is awaiting this part of the session where we would listen from our guest speakers, try to probably draw some inspiration from the journey that they have had. Dr. Dhriti, we would, yeah. Start with you.
So, good morning, everybody. Normally, on a Women's Day program, I see all women sitting in the audience, but here I see there are more men than women. So, I think it's heartening for me to have a more equitable gender distribution in my audience today. The theme of this year's Women's Day, the UN theme is digital empowerment through innovation and technology, and hashtag embrace equity. So, because I am a Bengali, so Robindranath na diye to shuru kora jay na. So, chitto jetha bhoy shunno, uchcho jetha shir. Where the mind is held high, the mind is without fear, and the head is held high. So, for all women who are sitting here today, never bow down. Because the world is yours. The tomorrow is yours. And as I would go back and say, it's not only about women empowerment that we are talking about, but it is also about gender equality and gender equity. In years to come, I guess the concept of women empowerment would be changing. And women would be in the middle, tier 2, and the other gender, as you know now, there is an M, F, and O. The O would go into the tier 3. So then the women may be the oppressors also. So because I have a mixed crowd, I see that it is interesting for women also to groom their conscience and their consciousness that there is a O gender which will be along with you, will be amidst you, maybe in a few years to come. So I would like to say, I don't want to speak a lot. It's only for 5 minutes, I guess, and then there'll be a panel discussion. So I'll just start with a very small story. I joined Zoological Survey of India when I was 27 years old. And the first day I went and I submitted my documents, and then I was made to sit for a long time. And then I had to go to the loo, and I went into the loo, and there were men inside the loo, and I just walked in, and then I was thinking, is this office this advanced that they have unisexual toilets? And then I thought, wow, Government of India offices are so advanced nowadays that they have toilets where both men and women can go, because there was no sign outside the toilet. Then I came out. Obviously, it was casual. Then after a month or so, when I joined and I got a hang of it, then I realized that they didn't have a toilet in the first floor because there was no ladies on the first floor. So only after 10 years, in 2009, when I went back as head of office and as the finance in charge of the organization, then I decided there had to be a toilet in the first floor, because otherwise I would have to go up to the second or the third floor. Even at that point of time, then I realized that why nobody ever went out and said that we need a toilet there. And then gradually when 2021, I took up as a country head. Then I realized that the first scientist in my office was in 1949. The kind of job we do is not office work. We are an organization under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and our work is to assess the faunal diversity of the country, its impact, its distribution, its impact of climate change on the Indian fauna, and we have to go out into the field and do work side by side with men. Like if it is a team of 5 people, there may be 1 woman and 4 men, and we'll be going out. And we'll be going out, like it will be deep under the seas in Andaman to check the coral reefs, or it may be high up in the Ladakh to see what is a faunal, situation out there. How they are surviving, what is an impact of, say, deforestation, warming, global warming, so and so. So in that kind of a perspective, when we are working in Zoological Survey of India, I realized that in 1949, the first lady has joined as a scientist, and she was allowed by her family to go out and survey in 1949 with a bunch of men, without her husband accompanying or father-in-law accompanying. So imagine that time, that family was forward enough to allow the Bahu to go out and stay in the field for 15 to 22 days. That our stretch would be from 22 days to 1 month, because transportation was very difficult at that point of time. Like if I had to go to Arunachal Pradesh, it will be reaching my reaching Bhalukpong or Dirang or Tawang would have taken 5 to 6 days flat. So imagine that it was 1949. But the organization could appoint the first lady director only in 2021. So that is again an ambiguity which I guess nobody bothered or nobody gave a thought. So when we are talking about, so then when back into the context of Women's Day, we say equal opportunities. So equal opportunities were there in women when the government came into the scenario. They were having women representation there. But the equity component was not there. Women were scientists in the organization, but they were never directors. So if I go back and I say, like, women who are now doing science subjects in the graduation, you'll see 50%, more than 50, 45 to 50% of the students who are enrolling for your BSc program are women. When it goes to MSc, it comes out to something like 35 to 37% of all the postgraduates enrolling for MSc science programs or STEM subjects are women. When it comes to PhD, it comes down to 15%. So then those who are proceeding for PhD, it is 15% are women. When it comes to faculty position in universities, colleges and offices, it comes down to 10% or maybe 7 to 10%. You'll find, like for example, you have senior professors, you have VCs or chairholders, there will be 7 to 10%. When it comes to leadership role in organization, that percentage comes down to 1 to 2%. So we would promote women to do everything, but we'll be having some reservation when we have to put her on the topmost position. The irony, the paradox is, we were governed by Indira Gandhi. She was one of the most powerful women who can ever say or we can ever speak about. It started there. We are discussing so much about climate change, environment, this impact, that impact. 1970, she was the first person who realized that India needs to have an effective climate division to combat the effects of climate change, as well as she was the first Indian member of CITES, which was in preventing cruelty to animals who would be traded, endangered trade on flora and fauna. So she had thought way ahead of her time. And now, after Indira Gandhi, you see Rio, Jack Scalise and the Greta Thunberg. So they are young kids who are there who are also working in the environment sector. So if I again go back and say that we have people in power positions fewer than we would need them to be. Suppose we are able to promote women into reaching the powerful positions. But in most cases, we are dependent on others to promote women. So for all of the women who are sitting here, why would you need somebody else to promote you? Are you not powerful enough yourself to push yourself forward or to pull yourself through? And again, if there are certain points which I would like to touch upon. We are the largest democracy in the world. The basic of democracy is equality. So we think only democracy is achieved if there is equality along the whole hierarchy. We call ourselves the largest democracy even though the poverty level is pretty high in our country. But still we get a right to vote where you have equal power. Everybody in this country, every citizen of this country has equal power in selecting the person who is going to rule us and to rule the country. So when the democracy starts with equality, then when it comes to women, we think that there has to be somebody else who is going to give you the empowerment. Why would you want to give men that opportunity to help you to empower you? You don't need that, do you? You are powerful enough. I see quite a few men sitting here. So, how many have sons? Can you raise your hands? All, men and women. How many have sons? Quite a few. And how many have daughters? Okay. How many have one son and one daughter? Okay. So for all those of you who have a son, when you go back home, do you ever ask, "Ada cup cha kore de?" But if it is a daughter, you will go back, good. So thing is that, and others you'll always be telling your daughter, "A cup cha kore dibi." So, sir, I really appreciate it. Teach your son to cook. As much of it is important for daughters to learn driving, or to go, or to kind of, train themselves for high altitude or for space, space travel. So much is important for men to learn how to cook, because that is a life skill. So I'll now shift into life skill development. You got to skill yourself enough so that you have the competitive edge. So when I was selected as a director and it was flashed all over the newspapers, everybody was kind of thinking first women to sit on the chair in 100 years' time. So one of my friend, who was a my classmate in Presidency College, he called up and said, "Dhriti, you were always a brilliant student. You stood first in BSc and MSc, and then you did well in your PhD, you published so many papers, you became director. Why are they branding you as a woman to become the director? It should have been, okay, you are the director." I said, okay, that is the TRP the media wants to get out of it, because it is a woman, and I guess I am in the limelight because I am a woman. So if the limelight is on you, hog it, take it, because that will help you to pull others to up the line. So today, since I am the first women director in my organization, I can do a lot of stuff to my women colleagues to promote them, to push them. Maybe they are, say, a little bit, what happens is that they may not be confident enough. They may not be able to speak out. But when it comes to me, they have that ease to come and say, or I can go back and say, that you don't make excuses that your child is ill and you could not deliver. That is not an excuse. I'm going to listen. Even if your child is ill, you will have to deliver, because you will have to compete. Today, if I am saying this to you, it will be harsh, but tomorrow, when a senior scientist in the interview board is going to say, "Arey, ye to hamesha bachcha bimar rehta hai aur koi kaam nahi karta hai," you will hate it at that point of time. So figure out a support system. For all women sitting here, figure out a support system for yourself. And the support system will happen only if you are supportive of your parents and your in-laws. So don't go fighting with your in-laws. Don't go fighting with your nanad, or don't be selfish about your parents, because they are your support system tomorrow. Especially for high achievers, if you're trying to move up the ladder, you would need that support system. You can have a nurse or an ayah, you can pay 20,000, 25,000, but any elderly person in your family will be a supervision over on top, where you don't have to go back and bother. I'm saying this from my own personal experience. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my father and my mother, specifically my mother and my father, they literally took care of everything about my daughter. I didn't have to bother about anything, barring the fact I used to drop her to school. And when she was ill, I would be taking leave and staying back at home. In fact, I didn't have to take childcare leave till she was in class 10. That was the first time I took childcare leave for only 15 or 20 days, 1 month. That too, I went to and fro to office and back, so that I could complete some of the pending projects which I was having. So figure a supporting system from you. And for women, empathy is much more important than being selfish. So don't be selfish about small things. You have to have that empathy in you. If you are empathic and you are garnering a support system for you, you'll be moving very high up in life, because that will go, and that will also reflect on your colleagues. For example, the sari which I'm wearing today, I'll give you a very simple example. I had 5 PhD students, and every time they would be publishing a paper or submitting 1,000, they will be giving small things, 1 diary, 1 pen, 1 chocolate, and then I had a pile, because there was 5. Then one day I called all of them and I said, I'm not going to take anything from you. All of you will submit your PhD thesis to the University of Calcutta. And then when all 5 of you have submitted, you will pool in together. Then you buy me one gift. And that I'm going to wear it the next Teacher's Day. So then they did that. They said, okay, madam, then we have only 4 months. I said, yes, you have only 4 months. You have to submit your thesis and then you have to come back to me. Otherwise, I'm not accepting anything which you are giving. So that kind of thing worked. So it's very important for you to be approachable to your junior colleagues. At the same time, I see a lot of young people here. It's important for you to listen and obey your senior colleagues too, or your bosses too. Because one thing every boss wants to look to is obedience. But I have all sympathy for you too, because the situation now is such, if you're good to them, you have trouble. If you're bad to them, then also you're in trouble. Yes, so that is a good thing about it. So the times are changing, and I guess tomorrow, as I say, the sari is going to soar higher than the shirt. And with this, I'm going to conclude. Thank you so much. Jai Hind. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Banerjee. It was so wonderful to hear all of this from you, touching upon some hard realities in terms of how we start and when we move up the ladder, how the numbers go really down, and these wonderful anecdotes that you shared. Thank you so much. I'm sure a lot of you would have questions, but we will save these questions for our panel discussion. We will now move on to Ms. Sanyal. Please, Ms. Sanyal, please share your journey with us.
Hello. First of all, obviously, I want to thank Tega Industry for this special invitation. And it's actually an enriching experience to be a part of this great event. And I'm inspired already by ma'am. And of course, sincere gratitude to my organization, which is Airports Authority of India. So I want to share a short story of mine that basically I'm hail from a typical Bengali but culturally sound family. And from my childhood, I was always encouraged to do lots of activity other than studies and all. So I do lots of activities as well. So after masters, then the question comes that now next, what to do? And I was so confused that time that what to do for the studies, or I should try a job or something. So then my grandmother actually helped me a lot. She said, do what you desire. Find your passion, what you really want to do from your core of your heart. So then I realized, no, I really want to do something which is out of the box, something very different, very unique. So I started normally taking preparation for government services and all. And then I stumbled upon this particular advertisement from Airports Authority of India, Civil Aviation Ministry. So it was for aviation firefighters. So when I saw this, something happened to me, and it's like, oh my God, it's really new. I don't know anything about this, but it seems very interesting. What is that? I need to find it out. So, and I saw all of the things, like all eligible criteria. So I was a little bit in like, should I fill the form or not? But with courage, I fill it. I applied for this particular job. So first exam is like normal written exam, which is like very easy for me because I was already preparing for that. So it was okay. But the next round when come, the next round of examination, then I realized, no, it's not it's a different job, and it's not very easy for me. So the next round there was physical endurance test, driving test, medical test, and obviously document verification and all. And then I told my parents that I want to do something like aviation firefighting. So they were in shock. They were like, why? What? But I actually convince them, and so they actually supported me, they encouraged me a lot. So I went to Bhubaneswar Army Camp for all the examination. The physical endurance, you have to run 100 meter in 20 seconds. Then you have to, there was another, many events like pole climbing, rope climbing, ladder climbing, and you have to carry 40 kg of weight and you have to run. So lots of events. So, so I got few days for preparation, and it was very new for me. So I started preparing for all those events and all. With my sister helped me a lot that time. So I went and I successfully passed all the exams, including driving test as well. Thank you. So after that I got a call letter for the training, which is a 5-month training, which held in Delhi, New Delhi Fire Training Center. So when I reached there, then I realized that, okay, I'm the only lady and I'm the first lady, because no lady came before in this particular occupation, you can say. So then there was 100 men, so I have to do training with 100 men. So the training was not very easy for me, because tough schedule and all, running, yoga, PT, squat drill, appliance drill, then theory classes back to back. So, but it was very, tiring, but still I enjoyed it a lot. But the best part, I think, is the trainers, who never discriminate me with my other colleagues there. So they never discriminate like, no, you are a girl, you don't supposed to do that, or you're a girl, you stay there. Not like that. So we actually, firefighting is a teamwork. So you have to do it with everyone. So I learned a lot of things from there, and finally I joined in 2018 as India's first female aviation firefighter. My first posted, thank you. My first posting were in Fire Training Center, Kolkata, as a first female trainer also. So basically, I want to say 2-3 lines about what actually the profession is, because I think many of you don't know actually what is ARFF actually. So it's basically Airport Rescue and Fire Service. So it's a very different kind of service for other related fire services, because in any kind of crash or something, the time is very, very short. It's like the response time is 2 minutes to 3 minutes, because the survival time itself is 2 minutes 18 seconds. So it's very, very short, and this time you have to extinguish the fire, you have to do all those stuff, you have to rescue. Okay, because we know the aircraft contained a high inflammable fuel, and pressure and heat is like very dangerous. So it's kind of very difficult thing to do, but still we have dedicated fire stations in every airport, and the main motto is to save lives, save human lives and property of airport. And now I'm coming back to the main topic, which is the this program, which is the Women's Day, right? So I think from my journey, what I realized, that woman movement is not a battle against men. We have to work together, shoulder to shoulder with men in our own rights. Then actually we can do things together. And I think this discrimination, female firemen or firewomen, we should stop that. It should be firefighter. So there should be no like discrimination. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, I think, first we have to overcome the mental barrier. Then we can overcome the physical barrier, but first we have to overcome our mental barrier. Then we can do things easily. And I think it's all about the dedication and determination, what you put, whatever you're doing, whatever you want to do. So I think the dedication, determinations matter most. So thank you once again for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Sanyal. So now we all know that sometimes, always following the passion might not take you where you would want to be, or it might take you, but sometimes thinking out of the box also helps. But if you are thinking of going with something which nobody has ever done, then you need to have the determination, as you mentioned, to fight difficult situation and then to sail through it. Thank you so much, Ms. Sanyal, for sharing with us that. Now next, I would request Ms. Goenka to please share her story with us.
Hello everyone. I'm Vasudha Goenka. I'm a nutritionist, chef, and a fitness enthusiast, and now I'm also a kettlebell athlete. So my story is very different from most people. So just to start and, hello? Yeah, so I'm 49 years old, and I got married. I come from a very conservative Marwari traditional family, and I got married at the age of 19. And by the time I was 25, I was a mother of 2 boys. So my whole life became about being a mother and a housewife. Now, I actually feel that 40s is my 20s. So my first turning point was I was doing a counseling course. I think it was around when I was 31, 32 years old. And one of the questions the teacher asked all of us to answer was, why do you feel you don't have more money? Now for me, the most obvious answer was that my father did not give me more money when I got married, or my husband is not giving me more money. That was the most obvious answer. So this is the response what I got, laughter, when I called out my answer aloud. So, and I was like, why is everybody laughing? I thought like it's the most obvious answer. But then when I heard everybody else's answers, like better jobs, no career direction, things like that, and then it just struck a chord in my head. My thinking was so narrowed, and so 6 months down the lane, then I started my home catering business. And then the next turning point was when I started exercising. I always struggled with weight issues and all. So again, when I was 32, 33, just joined a gym to lose some weight. And that became a full-blown passion for me. So did a lot of certifications in fitness, in exercising. And then when I was 40, I went off to study. I studied for 2 years. I certified myself as a nutritionist. And 43, I remember I made my first CV of my life, applied for a job interview, gave a job interview, and went on to start working for the first time in my life. So I worked in Bellevue for 4 years. And after that, I opened up my own studio, Mind, Body, Soul. And that's it, that's how it has been for me, it's just growing. Now when COVID happened, I had no access to the gyms and trainers, so I started working out with kettlebells. I'm not sure whether you're aware with what kettlebells are. It's a kind of a dumbbell, but it's a different shape. It's a weight. So I started training it. It is also done worldwide as a sports thing. So I started training for the sports style when I was 47. Now again, usually 20s is the time when as an athlete, you are in your primes, and you retire by the time you are in your 30s. So, but I got into the sports when I was 47, I started training for it. Then I went to the World Championship in Paris, and I won a gold, so I represented India. So actually for me, my 40s is my 20s. And right now my boys are sending me again to study. So I'm going for doing a 3-month course in bakery abroad. And hoping to open up a cafe also, serving healthy food and all. So the thing 2 principles which I feel has really helped me and it's become a mantra for me. One is learning never stops. So I try to learn a life skill, as she said, is very important. I try to learn a life skill every year. So I learned driving when I was 46. Then I went for a deep sea certification with my boys, and keep doing my nutrition and upgrading my nutrition and fitness certifications. Now I'm doing the bakery things. I keep learning, which has really helped me grow. And second is never to stay out in your comfort zone, Because the moment I feel I'm in my comfort zone is when you get stagnant. And to do things beyond your comfort zone is when it has really helped me to grow, to come out of my box. And one example is today, I'm a very shy person. So coming and talking here is a thing out of my comfort zone. So I did not say no to it is because I did not want to give in to my fear. So basically for all women, I feel it's possible if they put their mind to it, they can achieve whatever they want. It's now in today's times, I don't think they can't do something just because they're a woman. And it's just keep stepping out of your comfort zone. And I really feel for women like me who are yet into their comfort box, in their bubble, and they just are not doing things for themselves. Finding your passion is one of the most, I'm really grateful that I found my passion. Thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Goenka, for sharing your story. And I think, as you have rightly said, age is just a number, and we are never too old, never too young to start with anything that we put our heart to. Thank you so much again. And now we would move on to Dr. Amrita Ganguly and request her to share her journey with us.
Hello, yeah, I'm audible. Thanks, and good afternoon to everyone. So, great speech and great inspiration by all the other panelists, and especially Dr. Banerjee. You sound a lot like my mother. You know, she was the first female in the Applied Physics Department of Calcutta University. And actually what you said, you know, she used to give me the same set of knowledge and wisdom when I got married. So coming back to my life story, so I come from a very traditional Bengali family. You know, girls are supposed to become engineers and boys are supposed to become doctors. So everyone in my family is an engineer. So I studied in a girls' school. Then the first shock came when I joined Yadavpur University. So in the engineering department, there were males and non-males. There were no females. So, you know, at times we used to, you know, stare at girls because we thought we were boys ourselves. It was that bad. And in some of the departments, in my department, we were 65 boys and 3 girls. Mechanical, it was sometimes 0 girls and sometimes 100 boys and 1 girl. So the ratio was that skewed. And this is not very old. I'm not very old, by the way. It was in 2007 that I just passed out. And so anyway, so I sailed through JU and I topped my department. After that, I got married very early, actually. It was an arranged marriage. So by 25, I got married. And that was when the first reality check came in. So I realized that even my name, my own name, I'm not supposed to even have my own name after marriage. I'm supposed to change my name. And I did not agree to it. I just put down my foot that I'm not changing my name, marriage or no marriage. So anyways, my husband was a very nice guy. He gave into it. And I got married into a very, very conservative family to the extent that I am the first woman who's working there, the first woman who actually went out of the house. And my mother-in-law, even till date, she doesn't go out alone. Like, someone has to go with her. So initially it happened that my mother-in-law was not very happy with me. I mean, she'd never seen a female species like me. So it was a shock to her also. But you know, I must say, with all good and bad, she has been so supportive of me that I have never entered the kitchen. Even today, I don't know how to cook. I have stayed with my mother and my mother-in-law and my husband for my entire life. And 3 of them cook wonderfully, so I really don't know that life skill. So that's something which my parents also didn't teach me, and marriage also didn't teach me. So anyways, I sailed through marriage, 13 years now down the line. Then the next shock came when my daughter was born. And this shock came from the workplace. So, as you can make out, I was a very studious student, very hardworking, very passionate about my job, and I didn't have much distraction. So, right after my college, when I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, and then I went to Ernst & Young, then KPMG. Now I am with Deloitte. So I worked in all the big fours. I used to work very hard. Nothing. I used to work on Saturdays, Sundays. Very obedient colleague, very obedient reportee. So all managers loved me. And when my daughter was born, that time we had a 3-month maternity leave, not 6 months. By the time I was like 2 months into the leave, my boss calls me and says, "When are you coming back to office?" And I was like, "Office?" I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Whole day I'm in the house, and it was terrible for me. It was a nightmare. Hindi movies, they glorify marriage and having kids and all, but sorry, that was not my experience. The first 1 year was terrible, and in my job, I have to travel a lot. Lot means like I travel almost every week, and not only within India, outside also. Of course, after COVID, the travel has come down, but before that, it was terrible. So, firstly, I was feeding my daughter, so leaving her and going to office was like 10 hours for me. That was, emotionally, it was a distress for me. I was like shattered. I didn't know what to do. And on the other hand, I keep on hearing that, women don't work because they have these family obligations. So my mother came into my support. She said, no, you go to office. I'll take care of the kid. My husband is also very supportive. So he said, yes, you keep 2 nannies, whatever, you focus on your career. That's the most important thing. So anyways, by the time, like 2.5 months, I rejoined office. But of course, I was not able to work that much. I mean, 12 hours every day, even Sundays, I couldn't give in that much of effort. My body was not giving me that thing. Body, mind, everything. I was like totally shattered. So I told my boss that, I need to work like a normal human being. I can't work like this anymore. He said, how can that be? You will not get a 5 rating, and, your bonus will this, that, so many things. I was like, okay, you do whatever you want to do, but I just can't do this. This went on for some time, and that was the first time that my promotion was denied. And it is not that exactly I had done anything very poorly compared to other male colleagues, but it was just a perception, I would say. And at that time, all my seniors, all my bosses were men. Even now, most of my peers are men. I see a lot of junior people who are females now, but at the senior positions, as ma'am was also mentioning, it's a vacancy for women. There hardly any females there. So of course there was no one to understand, and everyone was of the opinion that everyone has kids. India is such a populated country, so everyone has kids. So what's the great thing you've done in your life? Nothing. And I was also thinking that I've done nothing great in my life. Everyone has at least 1 kid, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what is it that I have done so wrong that I'm not able to do that much of work? Anyhow, this went on. The first promotion was denied to me. And then I came, that reality check hit me that, yes, it's very easy to say that men and women are equal, but actually, possibly they are not. That's when I was very passionately involved with this particular company of mine, and then I realized that no, this cannot go on. I just can't do this. I need to work like a normal human being. 8 hours of work, Saturday, Sunday off. Okay, certain days I can go to office, do work, but this, I can't do it like this. That's when I changed my job, and somehow what I saw is, in those 4, 5 years, 3, 4 years, the world was also changing. The corporate world is a very cutthroat kind of place, and there is very little place for complacency or being laid back. But what I saw with time, the corporate world is also kind of giving this support system to women, whether in terms of maternity leaves or being a bit more softer, that it's not that they are at least learning to appreciate that if a employee is sincere, whether it be a man or a woman, support that person through the difficult times. Because even in case of a man, it can be that someone in his family falls sick. And nowadays we have such small nuclear families, so it's not that we have a hell lot of support system. So, companies have now come up to that level, I can say for sure, that they do appreciate, they do take care of the well-being of women employees. And at least now in my team, I can say I have 10 people. They moved from KPMG to Deloitte with me. And I have a 50-50 ratio. And it is not that I am biased towards the women. I am just biased towards the good employees. I am not biased, I would say. It is balanced. Even the men, they take leaves for getting married. So it's okay, it's fine. That's a normal process of life. You cannot make an employee work by taking out the personal life from that person. Every person has to be balanced. The work is also there, the personal life is also there. And why do we work? We not only work for ourselves, we don't work to buy clothes for ourselves or eat ourselves. We also work that our families are happy. So if we cannot even spend 1 hour in a day with the family, with the daughter, with the parents, with the spouse, then work also becomes like a drudgery. You can't be really working. There's another interesting experience, when I started working right out of college. We generally wear, very formal wear to office. So at that point of time, in Kemak Street, there was a Will's Lifestyle, and possibly that was one of the few stores which had women's formal wear. And there were just 2 colors, 2 color shirts, and I think 2 color trousers, that's all. But now if you go in the stores also, you will see there is so much variety of, women's workwear, proper formal workwear. And, sometimes I feel very outdated because whenever I go for any office, work, even today I am like all formally decked up. I don't know why, but that's the conditioning I had. But, it's heartening to see nowadays women's clothes, which is like a kurti, is also accepted as a official workwear. So, I think that's also a very good step, a great stride that we have taken, as the corporates have taken in going ahead. There is one other, because I travel such a lot, there is one other thing. India in many places, many things people say is a very backward country. But I would say as far as female workforce participation, especially for the educated females, I'm not talking about lower down the line, but educated females who work in corporates. My focus is mostly on corporates. That's where I've been all my life. We are much advanced in terms of supporting women who actually want to do something, because that wanting to do something has to come from your within. That no one can do for you. If that is there within you, the system will support you much more than maybe what the system will support you in the USA. Because even in the USA, all said and done, the mid-management level is still dominated by men. And I don't know what is the reason. They are a much advanced, much progressive country. But in India, what I find, at least in recent times, the way female educated workforce participation has been increasing, that's really heartening, that's really encouraging. And in families like ours, more or less well off, more or less educated, having 1 or 2 kids, parents also support their, whether daughter or son, there is no discrimination, and they actually come to the support of their daughters or daughter-in-laws when the child is there. And my daughter is still very young, she's in class 3, so I still need that support. And even if I travel like a mad person, so even if I'm traveling, she's sick, she has whatever, school, this, that, bring caps, bring straws, everything is taken care of by my parents or by my in-laws. So that support system is definitely very much needed, and that is there here in India. That's not there in USA. Maybe that is the reason why women in India are doing so well. And I must say this, that wherever I am today, I am not the only female executive director in Deloitte, and I'm not the first also, but I think I may be the youngest. So whatever I've done in my life, I have worked for very little years only. It's only about 17 years. But whatever I've done, of course I wanted to do it. My willpower was there, Uh, but besides that also, it is my support system, you know, my family, my parents, my husband, both my in-laws. They've supported me like anything, you know, in whatever form they could. Of course, I have fought with them. It's not that always so smooth, but you know, that support has been there from their end also, from my end also. I have also not been selfish. So, you know, if there is a real crisis in the house, I will stay back. I will cancel my office work. And if there is a real crisis at office, and if I had told someone that I will go with you somewhere, I will cancel that and I will go for office work, you know. That's very, very important. Those of you who follow Indra Nui and her quotations, she has two very famous quotations, you know. One is that for women, the biological clock and the career clock are in total conflict with each other. And I think I can't agree more with her. You know, that's of course there with all of us. You know, with delayed pregnancies, I think things become more complicated. Of course, I had a very easy pregnancy. My daughter was born very young, quite young as compared to what is happening nowadays. So that ways I was saved, and because of this support system. And the second thing is, you know, when you're getting married, it's very important that the person who's coming in your life is aware of your aspirations and is ready to support you. That's very important. For me, I didn't have to do the hard work. It just happened. My parents chose my husband for me. But it clicked. But maybe it might not have clicked. So, you know, it's very important that support is there in your life. And you have your own willpower. And please do have your willpower. Do something, you know, productive in your life, so that end of the day, when you go back home, you feel good that you have done something. You also have an example, you know, which you can set, which can inspire people. Even if it is that one person you can inspire. In my case, I don't know if I have inspired any of my younger colleagues or peers. But I surely do know in my in-laws' house, I have inspired two of my younger sister-in-laws, who are about 6 years and 9 years younger to me, to step out of the house and work. So, you know, that I think is a much bigger achievement for me, because they in turn have inspired another 2 or 3 women. And, you know, that's how women can be independent and can stand on their own feet. And to end, I will say, you know, independence doesn't really mean fighting with someone and saying that, you know, I'm better off than you. But it is just saying that, you know, I'm equal to you. I don't need to be subordinate to you. And tomorrow, if you are thinking that I am subordinate to you, I can go off on my own and be on my own. But definitely that doesn't mean fighting with someone. It is staying in harmony with the rest of the society. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amrita, for sharing so many things with us, you know, and touching upon so many things, which I think a lot of us have also felt and experienced in our lives, as you talked about the difficult times when you return back to work after maternity. And even if you might have support at home, sometimes your mind doesn't allow you, because you're too, you know, you are so, you don't want to leave your children, leave your child who's so small. So yeah, we all need support when we are facing these situations. And also, as you said, we need to have the willpower. We need to have the support function in, you know, in place, as Dr. Dhriti also mentioned. And once we have the support, once we know what we want, then I think we can sail through everything that we aspire to do. Thank you so much. Now we will open up the floor for questions, and our panel discussion will take place from there. So can we have our first question? Who would want to go first?
Hello. Thank you all the distinguished panelists for your wonderful experience sharing with us. So I welcome you all. I have a question to Ms. Goenka. Your story is very much inspiring because from the bottom you have reached to the top. So what, as a female leader, what has been your significant barrier reaching this position?
Thank you so much for your words. But see, as a female, I don't feel I had a barrier as such to, so it was my mental conditioning which was the biggest barrier. Because since I came from a very conservative, traditional family, as a kid also, somehow my upbringing was, and my mental conditioning was, that getting married, finding a suitable boy, and being a dutiful wife and mother is only the purpose in life. That's my goal in life. So I was conditioned as a kid to, I was brought up like that, you know, working or doing things for yourself would have been considered that I'm selfish as a woman. So it was my mental conditioning which was the biggest barrier for me. But over the years, once actually the counseling course which I did, when it was actually a turning point in my life, when I started doing some small things for myself and then getting out of my comfort zone is what really helps me to move forward. And I've as such not faced any barriers from anyone. And now my two boys, I have two boys, they are my biggest strength, and they keep pushing me forward and encouraging me now to do more. So as such, no barriers except my mental thing which stops me. So I have to keep coming out of my fear and out of my comfort box to take the next step forward.
Hello. I have another question to Ms. Banerjee. We are celebrating Women's Day. We are purposely celebrating it. But if you see all that comes because of the inequality. And if you see the Indian democracy, the urban and rural difference. The people who are coming from the urban areas, they are more educated, more advanced, their support system is more enhanced. So becoming and reaching a position, being qualified, reaching a leadership positions becomes easy. But when it comes to the rural area, that perception is much lower. So unless this gap is bridged, we will continue to celebrate Women's Day after 500 years. So what are the ways that the people, not as in women, as a men, as a collectively we can do to mitigate this gap?
Thank you. Firstly, the government today is taking several steps in order to actually push people from rural backgrounds, helping them to get educated, and also giving them, there is the Ministry of Skill Development which has come up, which have definite quotas for women in the rural areas to get skilled. There is also the DST, or the Department of Science and Technology. They have specific fellowships for women oriented fellowships, which is specifically for women. There is also a midterm career programs which is in DST and DBT, where women who may be leaving their work for bringing up a child, they can also come back after, I'd say, suppose a child is 3 or 4 years old and she has been doing work, so she can also come back and take up another project where it's a research project, and she can carry on and enhance her career skills over a period of time and then get back into the mainstream. For rural women, I would say that education has been made free by the government of India, and also, as you know, the state government is also giving education for free. And specifically the Ministry of Skill Development, the Ministry of Technology, IT and Technology, as well as the Department of Science and Technology, they have specific programs not only for women in schools, but also for women in colleges, and there are specific scholarships nowadays. So at the end of the day, if you are actually willing to move forward, and if you think that you can make it, so there will be agencies which will come forward and hold your hand today. That was not there before. But as I forgot your name? Amrita. As Amrita said, that the will has to be inside. Because if you go back, Amrita Ganguly যখন ডাক্তারি পড়তে গেছিল, কেউ বলেনি যে গিয়ে ডাক্তারি পড়তে হবে. So she just moved forward, and then she moved ahead, and there's a full section of women in science which is this year. And even if this government doesn't have very many women leaders in their fold, but they have made and constituted several schemes which is benefiting women. And if you go back to the previous governments also, there also you would be seeing several schemes which are there specifically for women. Previously, the internet and the web was not popular, so the information was lacking. But nowadays, everything is available online. So if you are a scientist and you want to move forward, you want to become a, scientist, you become a top of your faculty, you have your, help at hand. If you want to become a technocrat, you also have help at hand. And if you want to become an entrepreneur, you also have help at hand. So it is, a lot of it depends on how much you are ready to get yourself informed and how much you're ready to build the skill in yourself so that you can move forward. And all said and done, end of the day, it's you who is going to have to do all the hard work. You can't expect schemes or governments or facilities or Women's Day in helping you to push you forward. It is you who have to think in the first phase that yes, I have set my goal, this is where I'm supposed to reach, and then you have to start planning how you want to reach it. फिर लोग मिलते गए और कारवा बढ़ता गया.
My question will be directed to Dr. Ganguly and Dr. Banerjee. We are talking much about scaling up high in the leadership roles. Now, as during the discussion, we are taking many examples on the individual contributing role of a woman in empowerment, like being a doctor, being somebody coming up with the movements and all, where the external factors are very general, not in a closed door environment. But when we are talking about leadership roles in corporates, it's in a closed domain. So what are the barriers which are preventing in getting or scaling up there? Because like Dr. Kadamburi, so it's an individual contributing role. If she is empowering herself to serving the society. But when we are talking about a corporate group, about within an organization, where we are working with the male-dominated leaderships, so then we are seeing a very small amount of numbers in this role of women. So how come we can come up, or what support we need from our colleagues who are male or from the organization as a whole to scale up there, apart from us being more confident, being more empowered?
I would ask Amrita to say first.
Okay, so this question will have a multi-dimensional answer. Firstly, that pipeline of female employees should be there. So, like for example, when I joined, I think there were hardly any females going for such, such roles, such jobs where so much of effort is required, so much of, work hours are required. So that pipeline has to be there. There has to be more female at the lower down. Then only they can be pulled up and up. The second thing is, what happens typically at the mid-management level, which is the conflict time with the biological clock. Most women are happy to accept roles which are not so cutthroat, I would say, which require a little bit less effort. And, they can stay back home or do, work from home kind of thing. And, they get stuck over there. The third level will be where a woman really wants to move up, maybe is putting in efforts and everything. But, at a certain place, the woman is getting stuck. So there, from my own experience, what I would say, so frankly, corporate leadership is a lot about politics. Please excuse me, everyone here, but that's the truth. So you need to have your own support system even in office. So, people who will stand up for you. So for that also you need to put in effort. So you need to either stand up for them in their times of crisis, or you need to do something for them. So, maybe they have some work which you do outside of your regular work. So, that friendship, that camaraderie has to be there. Then those people will in turn pitch in for you and you have to know, there are definitely groups in an office. In the leadership space also there are groups. You have to know, whether, depending on what your office space is like, whether you align with a particular group, you align with two groups, how you play it, that you have to be knowing. Because, till about the mid-management level, the company can pull you. But beyond that, if you have to go to the leadership role, it's a different game. And I really won't say that has got anything to do with man or woman. That has got to do with more your individual capabilities, and capabilities which are just beyond doing work. So, you have to be, that smartness and that sharpness has to be in you to know, where to pull the cards, with whom to align. Maybe there are 5 projects going on, which project to pick on to work, where you will be highlighted, where you will be in the limelight. And, as ma'am also said, if you're in the limelight, please enjoy that. Please make sure you're beating your own trumpet. And, this is one thing I will say. Most women are quite shy by nature. We do not want to say, I've done this. But men, on the other hand, love to brag about their achievements, achievement or no achievement, whatever. So, that bragging is very important. Whether you do it or not, if you do 10%, please say, I have done 100%. Brag about it, because no one goes back and checks. Bosses are so busy, they will not go back and check. Of course, you've done something majorly wrong, they will check, but they will not check. Brag about it. If you have 2 bosses, then go and tell, if you tell this person 100%, tell that person 110%. And if their boss's boss come, say 200%, मैंने ही सब कुछ किया है. This office runs because of me, because I am there. If you lose me, boss, you're gone. I am happy to leave you and go. I will do whatever you say. But you think, boss, आपका इतना नुकसान हो जाएगा, आप समझो, आपका bonus कम हो जाएगा, आप मुझे मत बोलना तब. That is what you have to do. And I am telling you seriously that there is nothing about man and woman. And also these things, which people say that in corporate life, women are favored. No, nothing like that. It depends on you. If you give your male bosses the chance, they will, of course, enjoy that. But if you don't, still you will be promoted. But you have to have that sharpness to play the cards. And yes, you have to brag about yourself. If you do 10, you can never do 100. You can never be 100% right. You will always make mistakes. Don't play on your mistakes. Try to hide those. But whatever good you have done, if you've done 9 mistakes, 1 good thing, please play that one as 100 good you've done. And the office works because of you. Because she is here, that's why this company is working. Otherwise, it will be, all gone. The team works, like I say, in Deloitte, I head the climate practice. And, I'm quite young compared to the other partners and EDs in the company, in this company or elsewhere also. So, when I go to make presentations or anything, and even in my team, there are people who are elder in age, but they are junior to me in designation. So that's one challenge I also face. So they ask me that, oh, you are representing, you are the head of climate service, you are this, okay. But the Deloitte climate team is there because I am there, because I head it, I make sure that the team is growing. मैं नहीं होती तो ये बंद हो जाएगा. बॉस कैसे होगा? ठीक है, आप चलो promote कर देते हैं इसको. That is what you need to play.
So it's more about strategically positioning oneself in the place to grow high up in the
absolutely, ladder. Absolutely. That's what leadership is all about. And yes, you have to be very, someone spoke about empathy also. Your team is your biggest support. Your team, to some extent, your peers also, though peers will try to pull you down. Please be empathetic towards your team, and really, not for someone who's not doing the work, but if there's a good team member and that person is in trouble, maybe go out of your way to help that person, because that team is going to come and support you in times of crisis. So like, take my example, when I moved from KPMG, the entire team actually followed me. I'm not a company, I'm just a single individual, but they just had faith in me and they just moved with me. And I am 100% sure today if I want to move from here, they will follow me. And possibly that's the reason why my company is kind of scared of me. So, nahi, ye chale jayega to sab leke chala jai. And not only those 10 people, maybe I'll pull in another 10 people and I'll take 20 people out from the company, which will be a loss to the company. So, that support, that routing you have to have in your company amongst your team members?
So, taking this contest ahead, I just have a question for the HR in general, means to Bhanu sir in general. So, thing is that now in many companies, we are seeing a strict guidelines coming from the management to having this kind of ratios in the middle management or the CL or the senior leaderships. But down the line, what happening to have this in practice, somehow we are not doing justice to the talent pool, basically. So how HR is basically dealing with this kind of issues? Because being a woman, definitely I would love to have this kind of ratios, but at the same time, if I'm talking about the company as a whole, the deliverables are somewhere being affected. So how HR is basically tackling with this kind of issues at the senior management level?
Senior management, I don't think HR is actually implementing these issues, because that's not possible.
There are many companies, I don't want to
They are
name
trying
like
to, the
names.
word
Yeah.
trying is there,
Yes.
but
This is all with with a focus on having this gender biasness, means not
See, I don't think there is really gender bias in hiring
having an
people.
equality, because like still in the senior leadership it's only 2%, and
the
overall
pipeline is not there. Where
yeah,
will
I
you get
understand that.
those people?
But just to have a pool, they are getting some.
At the middle and lower levels, yes. Even we have got directives that you have to have a 50-50 ratio in your team. But there's no dearth of actually talented female professionals. That is what I would say, and they are doing pretty well. There's no reason.
No, consciously putting somebody ahead just to maintain a parity.
So we had, I think, last year when we had Women's Day, we had 13 women in this room, and this year I think we have around 30. In Kalyani, we have our first women employee in 47 years. In Dahej, we have our first female employee in last 16 years, and they are now 7. In BMG, TSS, and I don't think Abhishek or Yawar Saab or anybody would have diluted their standards during the interview. So it's work in progress. It's a very, very long journey, very long journey. And I would say that it can never be over, but for me, the way we have planned, I think we would consider it reaching a considerable milestone when we have our first woman employee in both sales as well as TSS, in the field, going to the customer, being out for 20 days, 25 days in a month. That's when we would consider that we have made and we have our first senior female employee. Not first. I think we've had it earlier. Very soon, one more is joining. I would not want to declare the name or the position on it. So, it's work in progress. Let's reserve my questions for my open house, and let's.
Hanu, we had a female Garima Yadav. Garima Yadav in India, and I think 15 years back. Okay, so first female who went out to the branch, and she was a branch manager for this thing. So we had one. Other thing, just to touch upon what you were saying, she is not there because she is male or female. She is there because she is delivering. Okay. One, the very important point which you said, the talent pool. Everyone who's been selected over here has not been selected because you have a female. Okay. You have been selected because you had the requisite skill to deliver in this job. From a number of people who were there, you were competing with, and they were male and female, you have been selected. So you've not been selected because of. So after a particular level, deliverable is very important. And it doesn't matter you are male, female, if you are not able to deliver, however strong, tall male you are, okay, you will be out. Okay, that's the most important part of.
I'll just add one thing, like we're being deliberately talking about empowering women, bringing women to the top, having the strong willpower. But I think the process has a lot to do with how men's or the other ecosystem is being taught to deal with the empowered women. Right? We always talk about that empower women, empower women. So what Bhanu said, so teaching men or the ecosystem is a process. It cannot happen overnight. So we are bringing in women into the organization, but till the time you actually have shoulder-to-shoulder responsibilities with them, work with them closely, you don't get to see their perspective. You've always seen, like Vasudha said, that she's coming from a Marwari family. I also come from a Marwari family. We have never seen women step out of the home and come at a workplace. So we as a human being or a man are also conditioned to see men as our colleagues. We never expect a woman. I would be surprised if some Marwari guy is being said to report to a woman boss. Probably he might not never accept in that his life. And I can bet it can happen to 99 people out of 100, because that's how their conditioning has happened. That's how they have looked into women, that they are always looked as a dutiful wife. Nowadays they are bring to a more fashionable word. They say that they're self-made women, they're homemakers, but that's a fancy word just to say. But I think it's more to do with the dutifulness, being an obedient daughter-in-law, being an obedient wife, and being an obedient mother to take care of their children. That's, I think, the whole story all about. It's a lot to do with men also. It's just not the women's can only do by themselves. The men also has to accept that we need to teach ourselves how do we deal with the empowered women. That's what I could understand. That needs a change. It cannot happen overnight. It's a journey. It will definitely take some time, but yes, possibly we could see in the last 5-10 years, we are maturing, the country is maturing, people see more women in the workplace, may it be sports, may it be politics, may it be media, may it be the corporate office. We see a lot of women across us, and now men also think them as a competition, which is healthy for the organization, which is healthy for the ecosystem, and which will take the whole society to where we all wished, where we probably thought when Indira Gandhi was leading us, when Lakshmi Bai was like the sole warrior. So I think a lot to do with the men's also. It's just not the women's can only do what they want as a willpower.
Am I not loud enough? Hello? Okay. So, sir, just last year it happened, because of COVID, all interviews are happening virtually. So, I was interviewing someone, he was in his late 40s or early 50s for the position of director. And I was there and my manager was there. My manager is about my age, but he looks a little bit senior to me. So we were there virtually, and he was there also virtually. We were on video. So, he was discussing, and somehow we did not talk about our designations. We just said, haan, aap chalu karo, this, that. So he kept calling me by my name, which is okay, in our organization. And he kept calling Akash sir. So all the time calling sir, and then Akash was kind of, very embarrassed. After 15 or 20 minutes, he said, he called that person and said, sir, if you can please call me also by name. You're calling my boss by name and you're calling me by sir. My job is at stake. Huh? So this guy was like, who's your boss? Where is your boss? So Akash said, this is my boss. She's your boss. I will be reporting to her. So Akash was like, yes, what is so wrong about it? So he said, she's so young. So Akash said, so what's wrong in that also? He couldn't understand what was wrong. So anyways, he finished the call, and after that he didn't join. Though, everything was fine, he didn't join. He decided that I can't report to this lady. Yes, true. True.
So here I would like to add that it's actually a challenge for men accepting women bosses. It's not easy. So it happens all the time, but that is a kind of conditioning, you know, you need to do. Pet kharab hai to Norflux khana hi padega. So when you know that the lady is your boss, so you have to change your mindset. You're forced to change your mindset. There is no wishing to change or I need to do it. There is no need to do it. You have to do it. Since you are the boss, the lady is the boss, so you have to change your mind. You need to change your mindset. There is no way or no option out of it. So I guess Amrita has gone through it, and I have also gone through it, because I remember when after my interview, and my biggest challenge was all my competitors are exactly my peer group. We will be retiring within a gap of maybe 1 or 2 years. So I have my entire team, my level, they're exactly my age group. And then there is a difference of 10 years. And then there is a difference of 20 years. So the only smart thing I think I could do is that the top part, I told them, you do whatever you want to do. I caught hold of the middle part and the lower part. And I said, you first follow my instructions on dot by the way I want it. The office is going to be run by you, not by the people on top. And it's going to be run by me. So when that message went out, so what I did was that I simply let the people come and take their salary and then, while around. And I started giving responsibilities to the middle tier more. And I also divested the lowest tier with more powers and more freedom. So what happened in the long run, the people realized that, "Arey, madam to humko bypass karke sara kaam kar lenge." Then they started coming in, and then I said, okay, so I'm the boss and you have to obey. So that is a thing which I guess, whether man or women, that conditioning, you will have to do it. And for women, adaptation is your key. You are, for all women here, you are a daughter, you are a mother, you are a daughter-in-law, you are a friend. Say for example, your friend, you are a lover, you are a wife and a mother and a kid, everything all punched in one. So when you are projecting yourself, so you should also know that hormonally, biologically and evolutionary, you have been tuned to adapt and to change. And you should realize that the species which adapts most is one which survives. Always think of the cockroach. The cockroach and the elephant, the cockroach has survived a lot longer than the elephant. Even when the dinosaur became extinct, the cockroach survived. And who killed the dinosaur was a small rat, because it ate away all the dinosaur eggs. So even if the larger animals had died because of the meteor shower, the eggs were there. So if the eggs had hatched, then there would have been another set of dinosaurs on the earth. But the rodents or the small mouse, they came and ate those eggs. And the mouse survived. So think about the mouse surviving over the dinosaur. So evolutionary, the women is tuned, evolutionary, biologically. You are tuned to survive. So keep that always in your mind. Otherwise, Shakti wouldn't have been used for killing the demon. There was Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. Why they could not do it? Because they are not tuned to do the job. They can pool their resources together. So for all women here, Durga needed to collaborate with Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma to kill the demon. So the women need to collaborate. And at the same time understand, administration was always run by women. The finance department was with Lakshmi. Your HR and your education was with Saraswati. Okay? And your entire defense was run by Durga. Then why are we even discussing this today? We shouldn't be discussing at all. And the ultimate missile biological weapon is the Kali. So why are we even discussing? leadership level. So you need to collaborate to get your job done. That is there. And at the same time, I agree with Amrita absolutely. Your team has to be very, very strong and supportive, because they are the ones who's going to push you. If the push is good, you don't need the pull from the top. Because I remember when I was, when that advertisement came up for the post of it was the first time it was an online advertisement. So when I saw the thing online, I said, I'm not applying. Simply, I just closed my computer and said, I am not applying for this post, because it was so complicated. Then my juniors, they sat, they created fake email IDs, filled up the application from 7 times, and then bought a printout and said, Madam, correction korun, ekhane correction korun, publication kothay dhokabo, ei korbo. Even my whole set of stuff which I had to take, you know, when we go for interview, we carry suitcases of all our books, all our publications, everything. We literally carry a suitcase. And then we open it and show it like this, you know, this is what I've done. So, and then I said, I just can't do it, because there were so fat things, and 25 years of research. If I have to start from 1994 till 2021, I don't even know where my publications were. So they would be sitting all through the day and the night, going through the internet, downloading all my publications, printing them, binding them, and ultimately the suitcase in which I carried it, that also they bought it. They packed everything, then, and they stuck one, you know, contents on the suitcase back. Madam, eikhane ei ache. So this is when I went in, you'll have to show it. So, I mean, it was impossible the way, if they had not supported, it wouldn't have been possible. So what you need, I guess, is a very strong peer group and a very strong team. And also at the same time, don't expect the journey will be easy. It can never be easy. It will be difficult, it will be having its challenges, and you will have to overcome the challenges, try to convert them into opportunities. That is one of the smartest thing which you can do. And another thing is that eat well. There are a lot of brain foods available now. Seriously eat. Because if you don't eat well, your brain doesn't function. And because you need to multitask. As Amrita did and as I did, child, be, baba, ma, shoshur, shashuri, amar barite Durga Pujo hoy. So even I do it single-handedly. What you need is, one, organizational capacity, which I guess you corporates know a lot better than we do. One, you need to organize. Number two, a very sound support system. Number three, somebody below you who's going to garner for you. And for that, you have to be a very genuinely good person, good-hearted, and you'll be taking care of your subordinates. So the prima facie it starts, like the entire system which you'll be building will be having you as a central core. But you need to be a genuinely good person, good at heart, honest, and with a lot of integrity. Then only this thing is going to work in your favor and is going to push you through and pull you through. So that is what I think works for me.
Hello, just one minute. So I would like to add what you guys have said now. Things are changing. I generally love sports, so I will compare with the sports only. Few years back, there was a discrimination policy between salary of women's cricket player and then men's cricket player. Now, things has been streamlined. So they are getting the equivalent salary what women's player are getting. Same with the IPL also. Men's were getting 10 crore, 15 crore, 20 crore salary. So sports is something which everybody see, and if there are good amount of promotion is there, then probably everybody will come out of their comfort and they will go, they will promote themselves, they will try to explore everything. So things are being changed, and now everybody is getting good amount of support from that government as well. So it will take some time, but I still believe things are changing.
Yeah, so you are in a physically more demanding job, and that's like mostly kept as a male basin. So, and typically, what I have seen in those kind of jobs, the organization, in order to support the sustainability of the person, would put them into training or like those kind of jobs, and make sure that the person is in the organization. So what are you doing consciously to make sure that after clearing that ardent journey and that training, uh, how are you making sure that you are in the forefront and not into some parking or back office kind of a position? So what are you consciously doing?
First of all, thank you for the question. It's very interesting one. Yes, of course. After someone is talking about HR, and I want to say one thing in my organization. For my my job, there is no female reservation quota. You have to fight with your male counterparts for the particular job. There is no extra facility. Of course, we know that physically we're not same. Biologically, we are different. So maybe in few events there is some time differences. Maybe they have to run in under 15 seconds, we are 20 seconds. This kind of minor differences is there, but overall you have to do the same thing. And training also, there is no like, if our training days, if we did something wrong, they give us punishments, like crawling karo, abhi nahi aaya, crawling karo. तो ऐसे नहीं कि like you're the girl, no, you can't do crawling, you go stand there, Guriya. It's not like that. You you did wrong, start crawling. So this kind of thing, and of course after the same thing, it's a good thing that nowadays women are actually interested. Many people call me, many girls, young girls call me that, ma'am, I want to join this particular service, so what should I do, what should I study and all. So many girls are coming right now in India. In my organization, Airports Authority of India, there is 3 ladies, including me. So I hope in future more ladies will come, because in a shift, if I am in charge of this vehicle, crash fire tender, then I should have my own team, maybe. It can be male or female, doesn't matter. So, but still we need more female to join. And ma'am said also something about the toilets and all. Yes, I want to say that same thing happened to me when I went. There is no facilities for women. Everything is like, you have to तुम्हारा जुगाड़ खुद करना पड़ेगा ऐसे करके. So yes, we are actually trying. So I think in near future, maybe I will be in charge of this CFTs and all, maybe in control room or maybe in something like that. So we actually trying to inspire more female. Because for my particular job, most of the people don't know there is ARFF actually. Most people don't know about the job. So we want to actually in social media or some event or some seminar, we actually try to say people ki no, come, there is job like ARFF. And nowadays, and I want to say that in Bangalore private international airport, BIAL, there we trained 14 female firefighters. This is the first batch, first squad in Asia, first female squad in Asia for this aviation firefighting. We trained them, and they are now posted in Bangalore airports, in fire station, and they are doing the job like men. So they are doing this together. They are doing the shifts. So it's not like that we are not doing shifts or we just doing that back office job or something like that. No, we are doing the shifts already with men. So yeah, we are very proud of them also. And yes, I think fire is something which can destroy you. So you have to do it very like seriously. And yes, so we are not at all doing the back office job anymore. we, we are already doing the job.
I'd like to add something here to what we're taking the cue of Gudiya from you. When Indira Gandhi was Information and Broadcasting Minister in Morarji Desai's government, she was labeled as Gungi Gudiya. And nobody paid any attention to her. But ultimately, she went on to run the country. And with such a lot of, and you were yet to see any more vocal women than Indira Gandhi in the whole world as a leader. So I guess being shoved around or switching for easier jobs, it would, for her, I would say, when she would be in a family way or she would want to have a kid, she would automatically go into a much lighter job and then be there in the helm. But when she's back in the foray, then again she'll have to, yes, this is a part which any woman has to fight it out. Because that is a part, and because we are endowed with it, so a woman has to have all of it. I mean, you'll find very few career women would sacrifice having a family. They would be wanting to have the family. They would be wanting to have everything in one plate. We are very greedy people. So we want to have everything. Career, family, bacche, bahar jana, ghumna, firna, everything. So when you want everything on your plate, you'll have to work overtime for that. And you have to keep your focus on what you're doing. That is very important. If you let that, waver around, then it becomes difficult for you to take it up.
I'm just ending with just a normal thing. If we imagine in our situation like this, that maybe there is some incident or accident happened already and we are in dark, smoke and everything, and somebody is coming with BSET proximity suit to save my life, then I don't, उस time, मतलब we never think, अरे ये female आ रही है, अरे male, अरे मेरे को बचाओ. It's like that. They can't see I'm female or male or something. I'm savior, right? So I have to save somebody's life. So that's the thing.
So, hearing all of you, just reminds me one Hindi dialogue from one movie, Om Shanti Om. I think, कहते हैं अगर किसी चीज़ को अगर सच्चे दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात भी उसे आपको उससे मिलाने में मिल जाती है. The same thing from the alchemist, the Paul Coelho. When you really something desire from you, from your soul, the whole entire universe conspires you to achieve it. So I would really, even it reminded me of the one of the movie like Mission on Mars. People gave the name of mom. Just when I was hearing all of I was just every episode was running out of on my mind. Great.
So I have a question for Dhriti ma'am. Actually, I hail from a small town in Bihar, and so same scenario, conservative family. The reason I'm sitting here because I'm privileged enough that my parents were not among them, and then mechanical engineering. So 25 years of life, and I have listened and faced many unconscious bias. So my question is how to deal with it. Like when I was a teenager, I used to shout or cry or react. So day by day, I'm realizing that I should not take it with my state of mind. So these biases may not affect me in my daily life or the work I'm doing. And so I don't know how to deal with it. So maybe you have faced a lot of these kind of things. And
suppose your friend is hosting a birthday party and she has called all of you and you're all decked up and you're going out, you just left your home और आप चल रहे हो, ऊपर से कौवे ने वो कर दिया, shit on your head. अब क्या करोगे? आप क्या उधर खड़े होके रोगे मेरे ऊपर क्यों किया? आप क्या बर्थडे पार्टी जाना कैंसिल कर दोगे? या आप वापस घर जाके उसको धो के फिर से ब्रश करके फिर निकलोगे और बर्थडे पार्टी जाओगे और फुल एंजॉय करोगे? What would be your choice?
clean the shit, obviously.
Exactly. So the shit is always there. You need to know how to clean it and move forward. So biases will be, you can't go and fight everybody who is around you. And you can't cry on everybody who is doing it. Always think कि आप जिसके वजह से रो रहे हो, is that person worth it? Is that person worth your tears? Is that person worth the time which you are spending inside the loo sitting on your commode crying? No. So don't give extra importance. When biasness is there, as I said, wash the shit off and walk forward and enjoy your day. So, but what you have to do when you see the biasness coming, prepare yourself. That is the reason why I say skill development. Try to skill yourself. Try to do something which the other person cannot do, so that you can have an edge over the other person when it comes for selecting between the two of you, when it comes for any selection process. So I guess the shit is there and you got to deal with it. It will always be there.
Thank you, everyone. So this was the last question we had from Divya, and we'll close the session now. So I would request Sinha sir to please address all of us and end the session for us.
Yeah, 4 magnificent, wonderful and successful women from 4 walks of life, different stories, but all inspiring. All inspiring. I will agree with Mr. Imam when he said that there are biases, and it is important for us to first acknowledge that there are biases and then work towards eliminating the biases. I will also agree with Dr. Amrita that the pool has to be there, the inspiration chains have to be built up. Each one of us can do a little bit and it'll all multiply like dominoes effect. I will tell you that, as Tega as an organization was never averse to female employees. And we also talked about it. But then in the last couple of years, since Bhanu has joined, there is a dedicated effort to bring about, I would say gender neutrality is a long way, but at least start working towards it. There is an effort by the talent acquisition team to pump in more female resumes. And when the resumes are pumped into the system, obviously they will be interviewed. And when they are interviewed, some of them who are found right for the job, they get selected also. So we are seeing it happen. So the numbers that Bhanu spoke of, 30 to 30, has happened because of that. So the effort is on, and I think we are moving in the right direction. Apart from the pool being there, the ecosystem also has to be developed, and it is very important that we encourage building that ecosystem. A small story from my past, we had joined as GETs at Tata Motors Telco then, Jamshedpur, and we had only one girl who had joined with us in our batch, 70 boys and one girl. And we went through our induction training. After the induction training was over, the placement time had come, so obviously there was a process for doing that. And though she had excelled in all the exams, all the tests, all the various processes that were required to be undergone, still the management decided to give her choice number 3, which was the computer section. And she stood up and said, if I have to work in this organization, I'll be on the shop floor. And she said, I'll be on the shop floor. Not only be on the shop floor, my request to the top management is that I should be put into shifts. And I'll work like any other GET. And it was difficult. Tata Motors was not prepared. So all those getting the toilets ready, conditioning of the people, all of it happened. But then one very important thing happened. I was not able to appreciate then. When I look back today, I can appreciate. So we had one, a big auditorium, Sabuj Kalyan Sangh. Those of you from Jamshedpur Telco, they will. So it can house about 3,000 people. So an evening program was made, and 1,500 couples from across the organization, they were invited. and it was to recognize not the girl, but her parents. So the effort was to recognize her parents because they had brought up their daughter in a fashion where she could demonstrate that she is an individual with an aspiration, and she will do whatever needs to be done to fulfill her aspirations. So thank you for being with us. We had quality time. Your stories were all inspirational. And now I'll invite our Managing Director and Group CEO, Mr. Vasudha Goenka. Please.
Thank you, Manoj. First of all, thank you so much for being here this morning and sharing your time with us. I'm sure all of us really appreciate your journey and your stories. There's one amongst you, Vasudha, of course. I know KP will say fitness, but I've known Vasudha for a very, very long time. In fact, when she started to train and started to transform herself and go down this journey, I have personally witnessed her in the gym, be it in training, and really driving herself to excel. And that truly was something that left a very lasting impression on me very early on. Though we've not been as much in touch, but I, like I said, truly witnessed her journey up front and truly inspiring, Vasudha. So thank you for that. And as we all know in the company, we've been very conscious about diversity. We're extremely, extremely proud of our female colleagues. We've never, ever looked at a specific role for our female employees, but whenever a position opens up in the company and we have applicants who are female employees, we have never discouraged them from applying, or they've never been a bias in our minds when it comes to employing them or giving them that role. And today we are proud that even in our plant in Dahej, we have female employees on the shop floor. So that's a huge change for us as an organization from where we were maybe 10 years ago to where we are today. And that journey, I can assure you, will continue. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much, Mehul sir. And again, a big thank you to all our four guest speakers for the day. Thank you for taking out half a day to be here with us and share your journey with us. And I'm sure a lot of us would be taking away something or the other from the stories that you have shared, especially the women here. I hope you found this inspirational and you picked up something that you would implement in your life. Thank you so much. I would request Mehul sir to just a small token of appreciation for our end to be here and to be part of this discussion. Dr. Amrita, yes. Ms. Vasudha Goenka. Sana sir, if you can present this to Ms. Sanyal. Bhanu sir, for Dr. Dhriti Banerjee. Thank you once again, and thank you to all of you for taking our time, being here, present here, and celebrating this part of the International Women's Day celebration with us. To all the female employees, we would request you to stay back because we'll be having a special lunch. And the others can join in for lunch at 1:30 at the cafeteria. Thank you so much. Ma'am, you just keep it so we get the boxes and everything and then